PowerPoint about how to expand your ideas so that you'll have something to say in your writing. It's also called rhetorical invention. This is just the process of thinking of ideas to write about. The ability to think of ideas to invent will help you be a better communicator and writer. According to research, one of the reasons student writing receives low grades is because students lack adequate invention skills. According to a study by some famous researchers, the better writers seem to have a better command of invention skills that allow them to elaborate and extend the concepts they introduce. One way to extend the concepts that you introduce is to add some parenthetical information. So instead of just saying the Freedom of Information Act, you would put some information in parentheses to define that. Sentence definition, our Office of Disability Services, and then put parentheses that gives a further clarification of that. You can also use the expanded definition technique if you're talking about concepts that need to be defined in a lengthy manner. This is called etymology. You can talk about the origins of a word. You can talk about how else the word is used. You can talk about connotations of the word. You can talk about that the word has multiple definitions. Don't use Wikipedia as a source in your essays and in your writing. So that is not considered a legitimate source for purposes of a college-level essay at Lansing Community College. You can use Wikipedia to get initial information, and sometimes at the bottom of a Wikipedia entry there'll be links to additional credible resources, but that is not considered a legitimate source, and it really lessens your ethos and your credibility if you use it in your paper, and it will affect your grade. So what you want to do, and you also want to avoid regular encyclopedias and dictionaries. Those are frowned upon in the writing program. So what you want to do is go to the Oxford English Dictionary online, which you can access for free from home or on campus, and you do that by going to the virtual library. You just have to go to the quick links and click on library at LCC's homepage, and then you go into the library, go to databases, and then go to the Oxford English Dictionary, and it will give you the history of words, how they're used, and this kind of thing. It's an excellent source. It also will give you how to cite entries. I think it's in the upper right-hand corner of whatever word you're looking at. So you can talk about the history and background of a concept, the reason the concept came into existence, what happened before the concept existed. Sometimes not very practical to go into all this history if it's not really the focus of whatever you're writing about. Another way to expand what you're talking about, like with a certain concept, is to say what it is not, or that's called negation. You can also say, how does it operate? How does it work? How does it operate in real life? You can also take whatever the concept is you're discussing and break it down into parts. So, for example, I was reading a study the other night about if someone's doing research and they're trying to get people to participate in an interview, they're more likely to get the person to participate if the researcher's likable. And this study actually went through and broke down qualities of what makes someone likable. They had actually measured this quantitatively. So that would be an example. Instead of just saying likable, you could say likable. By likable, I mean A, B, C, and D, and then discuss how that applies to a specific situation. Good design is a concept, and good design consists of contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. So those are 4 parts of good design. And then if you were talking about that, you would then talk about whatever you were looking at. Does it have contrast? Does it have repetition? Does it have alignment? Does it have proximity? Good writing, that's a concept. It consists of excellent content, organization, style, and mechanics. There you have four parts of the whole. Define each of the parts and contrast it with the whole. For tech writing students, for writing 124 have to use visuals in a lot of their writing, and this is a way to expand the discussion. Writing 121 students don't really do this very often, so but having a visual that you're looking at and describing for writing 121 students can be really a helpful way to expand your discussion. Comparing and contrasting is a way to expand your discussion. or do a rhetorical invention. Use analogies to build bridges with the audience, and then I have a couple examples here. You can talk about whatever the concept is, the required materials and conditions. Explain the condition or elements that must be present to activate the concept. In order for a text to be persuasive, it must use the rhetorical strategies of ethos, pathos, logos, and kairos. This is just an example. You can use examples to expand your discussion. Examples are powerful. You must tailor them to the audience's level of knowledge. For example, and then I give you one here, 2 examples that I used. For writing 121 students who are writing the essay and studying the essay all semester, in your essays try to use at least 2 methods of expansion in each paragraph and at least 4 different methods throughout your paper. You could write the whole paper using only examples and comparisons, but it would be better if you also tried using negation and analysis of parts, for example. If you make an attempt to purposely use these strategies in the next paper and the next, eventually you will naturally be able to write more and more easily. Tech writing students also need to try to use more than one expansion method. Summary. Methods of expansion include etymology, history, origins, negation, operating principles, compare and contrast, required materials and conditions, examples, and for tech writing students, writing 124, visuals. How to improve your grade on your writing. According to the researchers who research writing, writers of low-rated essays, they looked at a bunch of essays in this case, hundreds of essays. Writers of the low-rated essays seem to lack in part the ability to perceive and articulate abstract concepts with reference to particular instances, to perceive relationships among ideas, and to reach beyond the worlds of their immediate experiences. So, for writing 121 students, the first assignment on ethos, pathos, and logos, this is an assignment that tries to force you to perceive and articulate abstract concepts. The abstract concepts are ethos, pathos, and logos, and to use those concepts with respect to a particular instance. The particular instance is either the speech or the visual that you're analyzing. Okay, so this is what you need to do in all of the papers. The first paper is kind of laying it all out for you really obviously. Perceive relationships among ideas. This is something that has to do with having transitions in your writings and looking and saying, okay, there's persuasive strategies in the world. How do these connect to someone's ability to be an effective speaker? That would be a good way, the good example of perceiving relationships among ideas. To reach beyond the worlds of their immediate experience, well, we'll be doing that all semester in all my writing classes. Using these expansion methods will help you to do these things. And then these are my sources.